welcome to the Wealth Transfer. Global economics, biblical principles, and protecting and preserving your family's wealth. I am Chief Strategist Terry Sacka, and I'm along with Dr. Charles Vance. And how are you doing today, Charles?
I'm doing good, Terry. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
It's good to see you again, as always. I know that the program this week is going to be packed full of information. Last week we were talking about derivatives, and we're talking about really the war on cash.
Yes.
And a lot of people are not aware of what's going on. This war that actually is being launched against cash.
Yep. Now, the war on cash is something that we have to understand that the war on cash is a concept. What the banking system is trying to do is make cash irrelevant. And so if cash is irrelevant because of crime or efficiency or storage management, however they try to frame the debate, if cash is irrelevant, then it gives them the ability to control. And control not just in how you spend it, but how you save it. Even Japan today, because they're in negative interest rates, actually tested out a fingerprint mechanism. Fingerprints for currency. I mean, it's all absurd, of course, but in Japan, they're not only in negative interest rates, they've printed all the money they could possibly print. They bought all the stocks in the stock market they could possibly buy. And Japan's in a lot of trouble. So they've come up with a concept where they started seeing people hoarding the cash. They were running to the bank and they were pulling their money out. And they came up with the idea of fingerprints for currency. Now, it's not in any law yet, but it gives you an idea. The banking system is trying to fool us that somehow we need to, for crime or other reasons they may say, eliminate currency. There is no logic for that whatsoever. The biggest thing we need to understand, I think, if anything, is what the real definition of money is in the first place. Because remember, we've taught here numerous times, money defined is a storage of value over time. And in the banking system, they're fractional. I know, Charles, you're real big on this. Fractional is meaning that you put in $1 into the bank. The bank will loan out 20 to 50. And then that money comes back into the bank when you spend it, and then they loan out more. And so the bottom line is, if the bank has $1 billion on deposit, they probably have about 50, 100 billion outstanding in loans, AKA they're insolvent. So the banking system's insolvent.
So there's no way in the world you could go, everybody couldn't go at one time and get their money. It's
not even
there.
Fractionally. Matter of fact, I mean, so even if a portion of people show up, no, you will never see your money. So now, I even hate to call it money because it's not. It's fiat currency, which is a really big deal. We've had a big conversation recently about why don't we in America understand that this is not money? We've been so conditioned to think that the fiat currency is actually money. And it's sad because, really, you talk to folks that were around after World War II, they know money was actually something backed up by a tangible asset. I mean, it was gold and silver at that time. Now, the reason gold and silver was important as a money backing is because it allowed or kept constraints on the government from spending, you see. It kept you within a budget that you, me, we, the people, have to all live within a budget. What did they do with our Keynesian economics? They kind of conditioned us. What do you need a budget for? Get another credit card. Go take out a personal loan. I mean, think about how many of us had paid off credit cards or loans, and then immediately they hound you, please take out more credit. So they want you to live outside your means because that's the slave bondage mentality, but we in the kingdom can't go there. So this war on cash is pretty serious. It really just says, AKA, there's a really, really big problem in the world economy. And so when we showed the video with the derivatives, the reason we wanted to do that is so you understood the banking system isn't even fractionally safe. The bottom line is, do we believe it or not? And a lot of folks, they're just flat, and Charles has said this the best, They're not going to do anything until they don't have money to go eat or go to the movies. And then maybe they'll wake up and go, gee, there's a problem. Unfortunately, Charles, it'll be too late.
Terry, people talk about, in the church world, Hosea 4:6 is one of the a paramount scripture concerning knowledge. It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Well, when people start looking at the word ignorance, which means lack of knowledge, not only does it mean that you're void of knowledge, but it also comes from the root word ignore. And there's a lot of people that are ignorant of what's going on in the financial system because they're just simply ignoring it. That's not good business for us as individuals or small businesses.
No, and you know, Charles, I think the part that's very concerning here is not only are we facing this dramatic financial crisis globally now, mind you, it's not just the United States. We're also in what I think is our own time frame. I've never seen it before, maybe next in the 50s. We're in a period where the entire political system is flipped upside down. We have on one side a devout socialist that's actually having fanfare.
What's interesting is he is declaring that he is a socialist.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's the most stunning
amazing
thing I've ever seen.
It is to me.
If anybody knew what socialism meant, they would never do it.
Well, it's the first step to getting into Marxism and communism.
Actually, it's Marxism first, then goes to socialism, then to democratic socialism, where like the Europeans are democratic socialists. Look at them now. They're on the verge of collapse. So we have this socialist argument on one end of the spectrum, absolute ignorance as to what that means. They have no idea. And on the other side of the political spectrum, we have the elites literally ready to bankrupt and throw everything away to stop someone. So all I know is, in this day and age, you better be cognizant of a politician over a businessman, and I'll take a businessman all day, because there's nothing wrong with wealth. There's nothing wrong with business. There's dishonest businessmen, there's plenty of dishonest politicians, and there's plenty of dishonest pastors.
There's dishonest poor people. Let me jump in.
Dishonest poor people.
Okay?
So.
You can get dishonest anywhere. You don't have to have a lot of money to be dishonest.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're seeing people just fall hook, line, and sinker for another political line after another political line. Mm-hmm. It's so dangerous for, number one, our economy. I mean, that's what we talk about when we come together here, is for people to be able to understand what's going on economically in the world and relatively to the Word of God, because this stuff is not a secret to God. God knew that this stuff was going to take place. Our position should be is we're going to prepare for it rather than ignore what's going on. That's the danger that we have.
And that's my concern here as well, because this whole thing about the banking system, the reason why it was so important, the whole war on cash, and then you see our politics being just flipped upside down. It is absolutely vital, because what is coming is going to change our ability to react, our ability to have a standard of living the way we think if we're not properly managed. So this is a very much of a Joseph moment of getting prepared and storing properly. Mm-hmm. And a moment of time and discernment. I mean, let's get serious here. They're talking about these things that were unheard of over the last 40 years. You have to understand we're coming to an end of a system. The end of this system is the dollar dominance globally and dollar standard as you know it. We're still going to use it here in the United States, but it is going to change. This is coming. And there are so many phenomenal connections from going back to 1998, when the banks bailed out the people. Then in 2008, the central banks bailed out the banks. 2018 is the next one. Who's going to bail it out this time? Now, I think we might be a little bit before 2018 the way it's looking. Who's going to bail that one out? And there's an answer. And I think the answer is going to surprise people. And to us in the kingdom, we the people, I think we're going to be really surprised that we already know what the answer is. We just don't want to hear it. So preparation is important. Education is important. Good place to get started is just be aware. So take a look at this.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those of you who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you who have cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call our toll-free number or register on our website now.
So connecting the dots are important. And I think here in delivering this type of news and information, we want to connect the dots for you. And so we've been trying to do that for quite some time by showing you global economic scenarios as to why there's a wave coming. Now, I'm an old surfer, from San Diego, and there's this thing, there's two kind of parallels to the wave as it moves. One was the great Holy Spirit point, where it gets there and crests, and you just have dynamic revelation. Another one is a wave of destruction, where you get caught inside the wave, and it comes crashing down on you. So connecting the dots and seeing the channel is very, very important. And we've wanted to teach this because we're trying to get the body to understand that we must be prepared for what is coming. This is not doomsday. It's not an Armageddon scenario. This is an apocalyptic thing. And the definition of an apocalypse is an unveiling, seeing behind the veil the truth. Now, I contend, I know Charles and I both, that the more you're in the Holy Spirit and the Word, that truth is revealed. Sometimes I get so frustrated with the world because I see truth. I'm like, how can this possibly be taking place? Oh my God, how do we deal with this? The hardest part about seeing the truth sometimes is knowing there has to be changes made. And change has to be made. So I really encourage you to get serious about prayer. Don't think our world is in a status quo. It's okay, we'll just go through this bump, it'll all come back again, it's been like that before. I hear it all the time. Oh, we've been through this before. I'm just telling you, the data says something very different, and it's saying we're coming through a change, which I call an epic reset. And I'm going to say the dollar's going to come down, the Chinese are going to come up, playing field's getting reset, and who's going to get hurt the most are we the people. If our assets are not protected, if we don't have proper food, in case there's kind of some social unrest, we don't have to go out, things of that nature. So I'm just merely saying get ready to connect the dots, because I want to start showing you some things here as to real money and why, if what we've just talked about with the cash, the war on cash, the derivatives, why the smart money is paying attention. Because if it wasn't real, why would they be doing these things that we're going to get into, Charles? It just
Jerry,
wouldn't.
The name of this program is Wealth Transfer News. Wealth is always moving.
Right.
And a lot of people have missed this. They think, well, I'm still got my job and I've still got the same amount of money, but wealth is always moving. In fact, gold has been moving a bunch lately.
A lot. But people are tied to price of gold. It's not about the price of gold. It's not. It's about the physical ownership of gold. And so it's moving, but you get people going, price.
Right. And
it's not price.
And we're not talking about it moving up or down in the market. We're talking about it physically moving. It's changing hands.
It's
just as if I
hands.
changed hands from me to you.
That's right.
And that's the transfer.
Yes.
The important thing for us to do, and this package of information that you guys send out is so important to people, because what it does is it prepares you to get ready so that wealth can be transferred to you instead of it being taken away from you. Wealth does, I've said this over and over again, wealth doesn't leave the planet. When someone loses a home, the home doesn't dissipate.
Right.
It just doesn't blow up or leave. It's still there. It transferred ownership. And there's a lot of things that are transferring, the ownership of things is transferring right now. One of those things is silver and gold, precious metals.
And what is paramount to understand is gold and silver, and I'm not going to get into this right now, but gold and silver is real money. It's the only real money historically. It always was our money constitutionally, Article 1, Section 8. Definition of money, grains of silver. So it always was not only constitutional money, but biblical. So if we were always in it, without even telling you the numbers, you're infinitely wealthier, and that's a fact. So when Charles is saying gold is leaving and shifting hands, they're shifting hands all right. And they're shifting hands to the Eastern BRIC nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, the Middle East. They're buying gold and silver, you see. They're getting out of paper money. Russia is almost all out of U.S. Treasury paper. They're buying so much gold.
No, Terry,
so this is really big.
Can I clear up that people, these countries are not buying gold derivatives.
No.
They're not, and what we mean by that is they're not buying gold stock on the stock
That's right.
market. They're physically buying gold and having it brought into their countries.
Yes. I mean, look at this one right here. Let's go here to this image. This is the LBMA. This is called the London Bullion Market Association. And it's a vaulted gold in London. Now, the reason this is really big is look from the left to the right. In 2011, there were 9,000 tons of gold in the LBMA system. That's with the Bank of England, and that's with the LBMA vaults, and other vaults, of course. Today, just 3 years later, there's only 6,256 tons of gold. Roughly 3,000 tons of gold is gone.
So it's gone by about a third.
Yes. Now, a third of all the gold in London.
In 3 years.
In 3 years. Now, everyone keeps saying, well, where is it? It's going to the East. This is really important to know. The East is investing in real physical gold because they're getting rid of the fake paper dollars. This is important.
Why should that be important to people that are watching us
Because
today?
their IRAs, 401ks are tied in, retirements, their cash in the banks, they're all tied into the asset that everyone else is getting out of, you see. I mean, look at this next image here. This is what we're doing in America. This is called notional paper trading. This is this absolutely astronomical chart, Charles. If you notice on the left there, the paper trade sold roughly 3,248 tons of gold. Yet only 10,000 or only 10 tons of gold was physically new supply.
Now, I want to
physically new supply.
I want people to understand what you just said.
I'm going to show it in the pie chart too.
Okay, do it.
What that means is the bar on the left is the marketplace, the banking market system that has sold 3,000 tons of gold on paper for only 10 ounces of new supply. So basically, they sold something they don't own. Now, if you go to the right in the pie chart, it doesn't even look like a pie chart, does it?
There's a little line up in the middle of it.
That pie chart, 99.7% of all the gold sold in the market system.
In the stock market system.
Stock market system, okay. And in the futures that controls the pricing mechanism, mind you, is paper.
So
not the real
physical. There. So the physical gold's not even there.
The physical gold's not even there. Now, the reason this is so important to understand, the reason gold prices are down and silver prices are down is the chart you just saw. That is being kept down. The price is being kept down because they're selling gold they don't own. How is that legal? They're representing the banking system, mind you. Not really the governments, but governments have to go along because it's all about who controls the money. But the banking system is doing this to give the illusion and psychological illusion everything's okay. Because if the real price of gold was released, it would be astronomical. And it's going to happen anyway, by the way. History always has shown this. But that chart you're looking at shows why the price has been suppressed. They're trying to get you to spend your money. But when you see the gold leaving the West to go to the East, and then you see the staggering amount of paper sold versus physical. Now, I hate to do this. I should have just shown the right chart. That's actually old. When you see 3,000 in this, do you know right now there is roughly 550 ounces of gold sold on paper for every 1 ounce in the vault for delivery. So 550 people on one side of the street, 1 ounce on the other, and they say go. That is real money. So when the panic sets in and the fiat reset takes place, everybody holding on to fake paper money will be panicking for real value. Now, Terry, unfortunately, it won't be there because 500 to 1 doesn't really match up too well.
So it's going to be like everything else in the stock market. If people are buying stocks or derivatives of gold, it's going to collapse just like the stock market collapses.
It has to, because it's going to come to the physical. So the point is, we need people to be educated. We need them to get information.
Yeah.
We need you to understand what's coming is just beyond this. This isn't like an infomercial. We've been educating people on television for 5 years. Get the information, because this wave is getting ready to come due, and it's important just to have the knowledge.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those of you who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you who have cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call our toll-free number or register on our website now.
Now, as we talked about derivatives in the video in the last program, and then we were explaining the war on cash, and we're explaining the banking system, and we're explaining how gold is leaving and we're moving, and how that there's paper gold sold for physical. All this real money is transferring to the East. Now, take a look at this image here. It's known as the Shanghai Exchange. Now, the Shanghai is the exchange in China that mirrors the COMEX in the United States and the LBMA in London. Shanghai is setting up its own physical commodities market to mirror the West's. But the difference between Shanghai and the Europeans and the Americans, when they sell a contract, they deliver the physical. Look at the amount of gold that has been leaving the Shanghai vault, which means it's going to mainland China and it's dispersing. Look at the amount over these years. This is a stunning image. And this goes back from 2009 up. Look at that. Some 10,000 tons has just left the exchange.
So does that actually mean that the people of China actually are holding gold personally?
They're getting rid of paper monies and they're going into the physical gold. Now, look at this one in particular. This is Silk Road gold demand. India, Turkey, Russia, China. From the left side is 1995, all the way from the right to now currently. This image is pretty unique too, because what I'm basically trying to get at is the East is preparing for what is coming. And the left side image, when you see that there's almost no gold shifting, and then on the right side you see the massive increases. Now, the green is India. Look how much gold Indian people are dumping out on their currency. And then you see, of course, China's next with that. So the Silk Road countries are preparing. Why are they buying so much gold if it's not relevant? You see? And so this is something we need to capture, Charles, because the derivative banking system, the war on cash, we have to start reading between the lines. We have to start seeing what's really taking place. Now, it's not because we have the business in refining silver. is why we're talking about this. It's really because this is real money. It's constitutional and it's biblical. What we want people to understand, the kingdom is in the wrong place. We talk about this all the time, but I like to show the data because what's getting ready to come this summer is going to be pretty shocking as we start to see collapses taking place. Italian banks are collapsing. Europe, there's things taking place that you probably don't know. And so it's really important to get ready. Now, we keep saying get ready. Everyone's like, oh, it hasn't happened yet. You know, when it comes time to prepare, it'll be just too late. So just be properly cognizant of what you're doing and be aware of the broker and the banker because they don't unfortunately work in the same system. They're in the fiat world. So next week we're going to pick up and show you what that Silk Road impact is and how it really is making an impact on the American soil. Until then, God bless you. Pray and get that wisdom.
Will you tell somebody about the broadcast we're on at this same time on this station every week? We would love to have you to join us and your friends to join us next week. You can watch these programs also at CORNERSTONEAssetMetals.com on demand. For Terry Sacka, I'm Charles Vance. We'll see you next week right here for the Wealth Transfer.
Cornerstone Asset Metals has focused on using gold and silver reserves to protect your assets from volatile currencies. Another hard asset that is just as important for your sustainability is food. We believe that preparation is a key to being successful in an unstable economic environment, so we started CAM Ready Food just for you. The Bible tells us that Joseph used the resources of Egypt to prepare for a global famine by storing up food in a time of plenty. His preparation not only preserved the lives of his family, but many others as well. At Cornerstone, we believe the time is now to re-examine this biblical lesson so that you and your family can be prepared for any disaster, job loss, food shortage, or economic instability. You can start preparing today by visiting our website, camreadyfood.com, because food truly is the ultimate currency.
Are you concerned about the security of your financial future? Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you prepare for the extraordinary times ahead by protecting and preserving your assets through silver and gold. At Cornerstone, the protection and preservation of your investment is our first goal. So we are here to serve you with honesty, transparency, and respect. Take control of your future by registering on our website at CornerstoneAssetMetals.com or call us toll-free at 888-747-3309. Call now, 888-747-3309. At Cornerstone, securing your future is our goal.